let's go a change of pace, another but very important issue. The Victorian government facing calls to audit the state's 2,500 wind turbines over real fears they could be missing important fire safety equipment. The Herald Sun yesterday reported that Victoria's energy safety regulator doesn't have any record whatsoever of whether the turbines are fitted with critical fire safety systems. Energy Safety Victoria has launched an investigation back in June after a turbine in Portland caught fire. Even the local fireys say it's posing a massive problem. Joining me now to discuss this, Victoria's Shadow Emergency Services Minister, Richard Riordan. Welcome to the program, Richard. I think there's two things at play here. There's fire suppression systems I think most people assumed were in place. We're now told that's a grey area, but very unlikely they are in place. But also the capacity of the fire brigade, who can't use aerial bombardments around these towers, given no state in the country has lost as many lives to bushfires as Victoria. How angry are you at this regulatory failure?
Peter, this is a complete and utter disgrace and a complete abandonment of proper regulation. 80% of all deaths, of all property losses, stem from traditionally electrical fires. So that's our power transmission or distribution system failing. We know it's a massive problem. We've now introduced some 1,500 wind turbines into the system, with another 900 planned over coming years. This is a huge potential for fire risk. When these things catch on fire, the hubs at the top of the wind turbines, they are full of boiling oil, fiberglass, other materials. At 200 metres into the air, Peter, on a screaming 40-degree day in February, these will shoot molten bits of fiberglass, boiling oil over a huge radius, many kilometres potentially. We don't even know how far they could go. And keeping in mind, Peter, these wind turbines, because of the way we've laid them out, are in the world's most fire-prone grass plain from one end of Western Victoria to the other. It's a huge risk. And to think that the government solution is that we just let them burn out. Well, I can tell you now, my communities in Western Victoria do not want to see a towering inferno burn for days in the middle of a 40-degree, dry, hot Australian summer.
You even had the CFA, and they rarely break ranks with government. They were out publicly yesterday. Captain John Martin said in the Herald Sun, whichever way you look at it, he says these things present problems for us with the CFA. They are volunteer fire brigades, as we know. They've had a lot of argument in recent years about lack of resourcing, but how on earth do they fight a fire that's on top of a turbine when they cannot use, as I say, aerial bombardments? A lot of the areas where they are, it's undulating country, it's very inaccessible. That's the problem too, isn't it?
Absolutely, Peter. These wind turbines, more often than not, are either in what we call the volcanic plains in barrier country. So farmers have been more than happy to have them on what is otherwise less productive land. So unlike the pretty pictures where you see tracks made to the towers to enable them to be constructed and maintained, the fires, of course, would be shooting out into country that is completely inaccessible. Now, take, for example, the Mount Gellibrand turbine setup. That's only, on a 40-degree day, howling north wind, you're talking literally half an hour and a fire would be into the Otways along the Great Ocean Road. It's a huge potential for disaster. The solution is simple. These things can all be fitted with fire suppression units inside the hub at the top. Now, that's a technology, it's expensive, it's more expensive, and it's not standard practice. Imagine any other industry, Peter, any other industry being able to build $1 billion investment that could cause harm and danger to its neighbours, not having the fire suppression and firefighting equipment as standard installation. And to tell volunteer CFA firefighters that they can just deal with it on the ground is just insane. There wouldn't be enough trucks to keep hurling around the perimeter of a burning 200-metre tower that's sending molten oil, molten fiberglass and shrapnel for kilometres. It's just an impractical solution. And they also tell us because they're in the midst of a wind farm, the ability to bring in aerial support is much diminished. The government must immediately audit the risk that's involved and let communities know if they're at risk and that fire suppression equipment doesn't exist.
And halt further rollouts. As we know, most of these wind farms, at the moment at least, are foreign-owned operators. Richard Riordan, congratulations to you for highlighting this issue. It doesn't just apply to Victoria, as we know, it's right around the country. Thank you for your time.